All right, parabolas. So these should be the type of conic section that you're most familiar with. You're just going to be adding on to the knowledge you already have about parabolas. The new concepts you're going to be talking about is the focus and the directrix of the parabola. So if we take a look at these graphs, we understand parabolas have an axis of symmetry down the middle. They have the center, there's matching points on either side, you know the same basic shape. But there's a focus, which is a single point, and then a directrix, which is going to be a line, so either a horizontal line or a vertical line. Okay, and there are formulas for finding those that we'll be going over. The other thing that you want to start doing is identifying all the parabolas as either vertical or horizontal, because you need to know its positioning in order to use the correct formulas. So for your formula sheet, your parabolas, notice once you want to know, is this parabola vertical or horizontal? And then does it, the vertex at 0, 0 is right at the center of the graph, or does it have a different point for its vertex? Again, the vertex is that middle point, right in the middle. Vertical parabolas have an axis of symmetry around the y-axis. That's why they're called vertical, because the y-axis is vertical, up and down. Horizontal parabolas have a horizontal axis of symmetry, and depending on which one it is, that is going to be which formulas you're going to use. Okay, will be given the equation, and then the equations for finding your focus and your directrix. So let's take a look at some of these. Okay, and then notice too, there is some overlap, right, with these variables. So C, this value is going to be used in the focus, and the directrix as well. Okay. So let's take a look at one of them. What's an equation of the parabola with a vertex at the origin? Okay, so it tells me the vertex is at the origin. Okay, and it tells me the focus is at 0, 2. So if you look at your formula sheet, all right, this parabola is vertical. Okay, so if I look at the formula sheet, I go to vertical, the vertex is 0, 0. So my focus is 0, comma C. So this is giving me what I need. This is telling me that, right, focus is 0, comma C. So C is 2. And then I'm going to use this equation, y equals 1 over 4cx squared. So that's what they've done here. They've substituted everything in to find the equation of the parabola. Okay. Another way that you can tell if it's a vertical or a horizontal parabola without being given the picture to compare, okay, notice for a vertical parabola here, the focus is always 0 and then a number. And for horizontal, it's the number first and then 0. So I identified this as vertical from the picture, but I also could identify it as vertical because the focus was 0C. So the formula sheet's really going to be your best friend for this unit. You're essentially just taking the information, always matching it up with that formula sheet. Okay. Now the next step is finding a focus and a directrix. So here they give you the equation. Okay, if I look at my formula sheet for this equation, okay, you can get some information from it. So because it's in this form, I know that the vertex is at 0, 0. Okay, it doesn't look like this equation here. So our vertex is at 0, 0. Okay, and our A is negative 12. And from our formula sheet, when they're talking about A, they're talking about this 1 over 4C. So 1 over 4C equals negative 1 over 12. So we're solving for C. So I multiply, if you can just invert both of these fractions. So if 1 over 4C equals negative 1 over 12, then 4c equals negative 12. Divides both sides by 4, so you get c is negative 3. So that would mean that the focus is at, I'm looking at our formula sheet, for a vertical parabola, right? Our focus is at 0c. So our focus is going to be at 0, negative 3. That's this point right here. And then our directrix is, again, looking at the formula sheet, it's y equals negative c. So y equals negative c, so y equals negative 3. So our directrix is y equals 3. That's a horizontal line. All right. Now, what about our horizontal parabolas? They have an axis of symmetry around the x. Their formulas, right, if you look at horizontal ones, their equations are x equals 1 over 4cy squared. Verticals are always y equals 1 over 4cx squared. So it's another way you can tell which one you're looking at. Okay, these were y equals, so I also know that's your clue. Hey, this is a vertical parabola. Let's look at the horizontals. What's an equation of a parabola with a vertex at the origin? Okay. And it says the directrix is at x equals 1.25. So let's look at our formula sheet. Okay. We're looking at horizontal. Our directrix is x equals negative c. So x equals negative c. So 1.25 equals negative c. So our c was negative 1.25. That's our first piece of information. So we know the parabola is horizontal. We know that the directrix is at negative 1.25. Now I can write my equation. My equation is x equals 1 over 4cy squared. So it's going to be 1 over 4 times negative 1.25 is negative 5y squared. So our equation is negative 1/5 y squared. We're going to do one more. What is the vertex, focus, and directrix of a parabola with the equation x equals 0.75 y squared? So this one, they gave me the equation. So 0.75 is going to equal 1 over 4c, because that's this part of the equation. Right? So I'm going to multiply both sides by 4c, and then divide by 0.75. So we have, move it down here, 4c equals 1 over 0.75, divide by 4. And dividing by 4 again. And then we can change that back to a fraction. So c is 1/3. And then now I want to fill out the rest of the information. So they wanted to know the vertex, 0, 0. They want to know the focus, so that's going to be C0. So it's going to be 1/3, 0. And then the directrix is going to be x equals negative c. Okay. So using the formula sheet all along and making sure that you're pulling from the right formulas, because there's quite a bit there. All right, using parabolas to solve problems, you're going to see this type of question on your assessments. Okay, So the parabolic solar reflector, pictured, is this one down here, has a depth of 2 feet at the center. How far from the vertex is the focus? So it's asking for the focal length. So the first thing that they do is they graph the parabola. It's 0, 0 at the center. So it's a vertical parabola. You know that just kind of from the picture they're using here. Right? It's got an axis of symmetry down the middle. Okay. If it's at a depth of 2 feet, that is what they're using for the y's. Okay. And then they want you to take this 8 feet from the picture. So if this is 8 feet, then this is a length of 4 on either side. That's where they're getting -4, 2 and 4, 2. Okay, so the parabola is graphed based off that information. The vertex is 0, 0. The depth is 2. Okay, so that's your y value. And then they give you the distance across, and you split that in half. This would be 4 this way would put you at -4, and 4 this way would put you at +4. Okay, and they also give you your basic formula, which is also on our formula sheet. So we have y equals 1 over 4c x squared, and I know I can use either of these points now for our x and y. Make it easy on yourself and go with the ones that are positive. So 2 equals 1 over 4c 4 squared. Okay, so that's going to be 4 squared is 16. Okay. Then we will multiply both sides by 4c. So you get 8c equals 16 divided by 8. We get c equals 2. So that means that our focus, according to the formula sheet, is 0c. So our focus is 0, 2. And that is also our focal length. So the focal length is that distance of 2. For this one, what are the vertex, focus, and directors of the parabola? This is the standard form of a parabola you'll be familiar with from previous units. Y equals x squared minus 4x plus 8. We know that that matches up with our standard form, so you can find A, B, and C from that. What they've done here, though, is they want to change the form so that it matches this form of our equation. So this parabola, if you were to graph it, if you want to see what it looks like, it's kind of help guide you. Okay, notice it does not have a vertex of 0, 0. That's why they are using this equation and not this one. Okay, so I want to make this y equals x squared minus 4x plus 8 look like y equals the 1 over 4c x minus h squared plus k. So we're going to do that by factoring this portion of it. So what we're going to do is, this is called completing the square, if you need to look that up, is we're going to insert a number here that will let us factor. Okay, and the number you're going to insert is always b divided by 2 squared. So b in this case is -4 divided by 2 squared is a 4. So we're going to add 4 here, and then to make sure that this stays equal and we haven't changed anything, I'm going to also subtract 4 here. So it's really like I've added 0 value to the equation. I haven't changed its value, but I'm adding the 4 here is now going to let me factor. So it's important that when you're adding the number here so that you can factor this, that you need to do it, subtract the opposite here so that it's staying equal. Because 4 minus 4 is 0, so really I haven't just added 0 overall. So x times x is x squared. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4, and negative 2 minus 2 is negative 4. And then that's x minus 2 squared, because x minus 2 times itself twice. Okay, and now I have written it in this form. So if I line this up, okay, we had a 1 here, right? So 1 over 4c equals 1. If you just literally line these up, okay, so 1 equals 1 over 4c. Our h is 2. And our k is 4. Okay, and then I just need to solve this for c, so I'll multiply both sides by 4c. Divide by 4, so c equals 0.25. So our vertex is going to be hk, so our vertex is 2, 4. Our focus we have a vertical parabola that has a vertex. The focus is h, so our focus is going to be h, which was 2. And then the y value is c plus k, so it's going to be c, which was 0.25, plus k, which is 4. That's where this 4.25 comes from. And the directrix is y equals negative c plus k. So negative c is negative 0.25 plus k is 4, so that's how they get 3.75. Okay, here's our last one, which is an equation of the parabola with a vertex of 3, 7. So again, matching up, our vertex is hk. So if this is the vertex, h is 3 and k is 7. And it says the focus is 5c plus k. So if we're matching these up, our h and k need to go here and here in these positions. Okay. H is a 3 and k is a 7. Oh, oops, I got these backwards. This is a all right, we need to pause first and figure out if it's vertical or horizontal. So let's do that. Our vertex is HK. Our focus is, okay, and they tell us our, gotta keep these labeled clearly, 3, 7. Okay, so this means this is H and this is K. And so the focus they give us is 5, 7. Okay, so notice that the Y's are the same, right? This is the 7 and they use that 7 again. So then this, if this is K, this is also K. So if we look at our formulas, I want the ones that have a focus of the K in the Y value in the second position. So that's this one here, it's horizontal. Okay. If it was vertical, it would be H, so it would have been 3 would be my X coordinate. But because 7 is my Y coordinate, it's right here. We have C plus H comma K. Right? So we're looking at when they give you the point, label it. Vertex is H and K. The focus is 5, 7, so they've used, these are the same. So that means that this is horizontal. Okay, which means that the equation needs to be x equals. So that cuts B out of the running. And That means 5 equals C plus H. So 5 equals C. We know what H is. H is 3. So 2 equals C. So I know H is 3, K is 7, C is 2. And now I can find our equation. It should be x equals 1 over 4C, x minus h squared plus k. So it's going to be x is 1 over 4 times 2, x minus 3 squared plus, oops, gotta copy my equations right. X equals y minus k plus h. So it's going to be minus 7 plus 3. Okay, so you can see how important it is to label things correctly. Take your time. We're starting to rush, so you start getting mixed up with the equations. Okay, and all of these are kind of like a puzzle piece. So looking at the pieces you have, fitting them into the formulas, and solving for whatever is missing. So do the extra practice for that, and let us know if you need help.